I've been shooting film now for around about 10 years. The first 3 or 4 years of that, I was kind of just making up as I went along. And I didn't really know, I didn't really know much about photography either from a technical standpoint. So I made a lot of mistakes and errors, and sometimes I would get photos back and just be puzzled at the results I'd get. I mean, sometimes it'd be cool results, and it's always a learning curve doing it. But there was a lot of times when I probably wasted film, so I didn't know. So I'm making this video just as a little guide for anyone getting into photography, just some advice that might save you some rolls. Number one, master an exposure triangle. When I started out, I had a rough idea what shutter speed did. I didn't know what ISO was, really. It was just numbers on a camera, and aperture, kind of could see what it could do, but I didn't really know. So a lot of the times when I was going out taking photos, and so I was just taking images on a wing and a prayer, and obviously depending on what film I had in, that usually would dictate whether the images would come out good or not. And there was a lot of times when I was like, no, this is going to be a really good image, and I'd get it back, and I would be blown out just so it's just a completely white image, or it's just totally just underexposed. So learning those three basic principles, you've got your shutter speed, that is how fast the shutter fires. So the longer the setting, so if it's on 1, that means the shutter's open for 1 second. If it's on 500, that means it's open for 1/500th of a second, so that's a very quick one. You've got ISO, that's the speed of the film, so that's the film's sensitivity to light. So if you got 100, or if you got 800 speed, 100 you do usually shoot in daylight, or 800 speed is usually more lower light indoors or nighttime photography. So it's more sensitive, so it can pick up more light. And then with aperture, that is the size of the aperture hole inside the lens. So you've got your fast settings like your 1.4s, 1.8s, 2.8s. This is when the lens, they say it's wide open, it's because the blades are wide open to let as much light in as possible. Key thing number 2, learning when to use the correct film stocks. Because I didn't know what ISO was in those first few years, and I was just eager, and film was really, really cheap 10 years ago, I would literally just go into the shop and buy film based on how the packaging looked. Because I'm a designer, so I'm just drawn to those things. But I would see these numbers written on the side of the boxes, and I kind of just thought it was just a branding name or something to make it sound dynamic. But these numbers are the corresponding ISO sensitivity of the film. So you've got your Portra 400, or your Portra 160, or your Portra 800. So these are intent for different occasions. Buy a roll of film, which is say 100 speed, and try and shoot it indoors with no flash or anything, and it's just going to end up underexposed. So just learning when to use the right stocks. I mean, if you've got the right setup, you can use sort of any film in any situation, but there's a sort of rule of thumb. So like the lower the numbers, usually you need more light to do it, or longer exposures. If you're in doubt, you can either Google it or ask the person in the camera shop to help you out. Key thing number 3, don't rush if you don't need to. Particularly if you're shooting something like street, or if you just got the buzz for film photography and you're just eager beaver, just the tendency to hold your camera up and just fire off as quickly as possible is so prevalent. And sometimes you can mess it up. If you're shooting at a slightly slower shutter speed, you can blur it. Just one of the most important lessons I learned was just taking that breath before taking a photo sometimes. Even if you are in like a fast-paced street environment, sometimes you can afford just to take that breath, hold it still, make sure you get the frame. So one thing I did used to do quite a bit was sort of take the photo, but as soon as I hit the button, immediately take it away, so it'd be like a drag, shutter drag. And sometimes you can do that for a cool effect, but a lot of those times it led to messy results. It's getting over that initial fear. Maybe it's not fear, but like that anxiety of being like, ooh, I'm out in public taking photos, I must be discreet. So just, if you want to get that shot and you think that shot's going to be sick, just don't care about anyone else. Just stand there proud, just take those extra steps forward if you need to get a little bit closer, to get that angle right. If you think it's perfect for your photo, just do it, just don't care about anyone else. Just shoot without fear. If you like what you see in this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And also, hit the link in the description to get 10% off Dehancer Pro, which I use to calibrate these. Okay, the next point is shoot a test roll. Okay, this might be a little bit harder now, film's a bit more expensive, but if you get a new camera, or if you want to try something out, shoot a test roll, because there's nothing worse if you've got a new camera and you're like, yeah, and it's amazing. You go out to all these cool locations, get the lighting great, you get the photos back and there's something wrong with the camera, the photos don't come out how you like, you've wasted multiple rolls, and you're just left disappointed at the end of it, and it might put you off photography. If you're a beginner, that could ruin it for you. So just shoot that test roll, find out if there's anything wrong with your camera, or if you're making silly mistakes. You can find out what's going on. You can be really methodical with this, and you can take notes with every frame you take. I don't usually do that. My next tip is, if in doubt, Google it. It seems like common sense, it really is, but sometimes, if you're a little bit stubborn like me as well, sometimes, and you kind of just want to figure stuff out for yourself, you can be like, oh no, I know what's good, and you go and do something, you're like, oh, why doesn't that work? Oh, I must be doing this, and then it turns out it's nothing to do with that. You Google it, and it's just something totally polar opposite. So just try and Google a problem or ask someone who knows the answer. Starting out, this might be a little bit daunting because you might not know the lingo and the terminology. And let's be honest, there's going to be people gatekeeping sometimes on like forums or whatever, and they might be spewing out words and abbreviations. You don't know what the hell is going on, but dig a bit deeper. Your chances are you're going to find a YouTube video where someone that can break it down for you. You can find an article, you can find someone somewhere on the internet. The vast internet will know the answer to your problem, so just Google it. You use that rule for anything in life, really. The final tip is, don't be afraid of making mistakes and just have fun. So that is why we pick up a camera in the first place, it's to have fun. You're gonna make mistakes. I still make mistakes when taking photos, everyone still makes mistakes, so don't be disappointed if you drop a few frames here and there. No one gets a whole roll of 36 photos that are glorious. It's all part of the learning process. You don't learn from your victories, you usually learn from your defeats. So you make a mistake on those rolls, you know what you've done wrong, you can rectify it, and you become a better photographer because of it. If you fluke your way 36 times in a roll, I mean, that'd be amazing, but you haven't learned anything. It's a learning process, it's a creative process. I mean, the end result is the photo, but oftentimes it's the making of the photos where you learn the most. So just enjoy it for what it is, a great hobby it is, and just go out there and just make some photos. See you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to use promo code LAP3510 to get 10% off Dehancer Pro. Dehancer Pro is a color grading and film emulation plugin for video editing software such as Premiere Pro and DaVinci Resolve and Final Cut Pro. It's great for mimicking those looks of cinema stocks or even just normal regular 35mm stocks such as Chrome Purple or Kodak Portra 400. I use it to color grade these videos and to give them that film effect because I can't afford to shoot on film to make these videos. So if you like what you see, head over to Dehancer and purchase yourself the plugin and use the code to get 10% off. Catch you in the next one.